Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and this is another edition of Top 5 Best PC Game Deals of the Week. As always, some really solid deals to go over, some more notable games, some underrated games, got a little bit of everything, so let's just get right into this. Starting things off with number 5, we have the Fanatical Nemesis Bundle 5. Fanatical bundles have been really good, and these bundles are separated into 3 tiers. Tier 1 will have you pay $1, Tier 2 is $5, and then Tier 3 is $10. And of course, with every additional tier, you get more and more games, and if you buy Tier 2, you'll get all the games from Tier 1, and if you buy Tier 3, you'll get everything. Tier 1 is at $1, and that'll get you Holy Potatoes, a weapon shop, Infectinator, Survivors, Still Not Dead, and Galax-Z. Galax-Z is pretty good, haven't played the other 3. Tier 2 for $5 is where things get pretty good. You've got Warhammer End Times Vermintide, a great game. At this point, a lot of gamers have moved on to the sequel, but to just get that as a part of this bundle, that's pretty good. You've got The Fall of the Dungeon, Guardians Enhanced Edition, Holy Potatoes, We're in Space, The Way, Space Hulk Ascension, that's really good, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, Mythion, and Wick. And then the final tier is $10, and that'll get you Lords of the Fallen Digital Deluxe Edition and Gloria Victis. Lords of the Fallen is a pretty good game. It was developed by a studio known as Deck 13. Recently, they also put out a game called The Surge. Both those games very Souls-style in gameplay design, and if you're a fan of Dark Souls, it's gonna be up your alley. However, I wouldn't say that Lords of the Fallen is quite as good as, say, a Dark Souls 3, but still a good game in its own right. And to get both those titles as part of Tier 3, that's pretty good. Overall, I would definitely recommend Tier 2, $5 for Warhammer End Times Vermintide, Space Hulk Ascension, and all those other games is really solid. And even the $1 tier to get Galax-Z and 3 other games, that's pretty good. If you want to play Lords of the Fallen, that $10 tier isn't bad. And Gloria Victis, never played that, but it's an MMORPG with an emphasis on realism set in a low fantasy medieval open world. Looks pretty interesting, but that $5 tier is where I think you're getting the most value. Moving on from that, for number 4, I wanted to mention Final Fantasy 12 The Zodiac Age on Green Man Gaming. Now, it's 20% off for $40 right away. That's pretty much the price it's being offered at every e-tailer for its new release discount. But Green Man Gaming has also got a promo code that you can use that'll knock off another 22%, and you end up getting the game for $31 and change. That's a pretty good price for Final Fantasy 12 The Zodiac Age. Now, keep in mind, this is a remaster of a PlayStation 2 game, so that initial $50 price point didn't really rub me the right way to begin with. However, if you guys don't know, I absolutely loved Final Fantasy 12. This is one of the Final Fantasy games that a lot of ardent fans hate on. I don't really get it. I get that the main character in Vaughn is probably one of the least favorable Final Fantasy main characters, but you've still got a solid roster of characters. Botch is an awesome character, Ash is great, Balthier is pretty cool too. I mean, the cast of characters is solid. Maybe the gameplay style of it playing more like an MMO didn't really resonate with gamers. I don't know what the case is. I think Final Fantasy 12 is fantastic. There's so much content to it. The PC port is really good. So yeah, even at $31 and change, still a little pricey considering, again, this is a remastering of a PS2 game, but I loved it so much. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, I would highly recommend to check it out. Next up, number 3 is another one of my personal favorite games, and that's Bastion. 75% off for $3.74 over on Steam. They do also have Bastion, the soundtrack edition, which will include Bastion as well as the official soundtrack. That's $6.24, kind of expensive. But if you've never played Bastion, and at this point, I don't know how you haven't. I've talked about this game quite a bit, and it's one of the more iconic indie games. Nonetheless, if you've never played it, or you just want it on PC, $3.74 is such a good price for such a good game. Just looking at the game, that visual style is so great. It's actually a relatively lengthy experience. You can complete it in around 6 to 10 hours, and it's a game that I'll always jump back in and play through again. The narrative is so good, music is so good, the gameplay is solid, presentation's on point. There's a reason why all reviews has it overwhelmingly positive based on 18,487 reviews. It is such a good game, and in my opinion, it's a must-play title. Also on Steam, they've got a sale on all of their Telltale games. This includes all of the Walking Dead titles, Batman, the Telltale series, Batman the Enemy Within. But if I would have to single out one game out of all of them, it has to be, of course, The Wolf Among Us. That game is great. We've wanted a season 2 for so long, and that was finally announced, but definitely check out the first game. It's a little bit more mature than your typical Telltale game. And the main character in Bigby is probably the best main character out of all of the Telltale games. I know that's kind of a reach, because Clementine Clementine and Lee are great characters as well, but personally, Big B, he is awesome. Other great Telltale games, if you guys already have The Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands is absolutely hilarious. I always recommend that game. That game is awesome. And of course, you can never go wrong with the Walking Dead titles. Walking Dead Season 2. Have not gotten around to play The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, but that is on my playlist, and I'll definitely check it out on some point, but some really good deals over there. You can buy the Telltale Collection, which includes everything, 83% off for $63. Yeah, I don't think a lot of you are going to be buying that, but that is an option. And finally, number one over at Game Billet, you can get Batman Arkham Knight, 71% off for $5.70. I've talked about Batman Arkham Knight quite a bit on this channel as well. Initially, back in 2015, this game was an absolute mess, but now that we're almost 3 years after the release, it works pretty well on PC. I played it about a year or two ago on a GTX 970, and the game ran super smooth for me. Honestly, I've said this before, as far as the mainline Batman Arkham games go, I think Arkham Knight is the weakest. I think Arkham Asylum is better. I think Arkham City is better. I do think Arkham Knight is better than Arkham Origins, but Arkham Origins was done by a different studio. Arkham Knight is still a great game. It's just that I absolutely loved Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and I do think it falls short of those two games a little bit. Arkham Knight does have a far bigger world and a lot more to do. However, the main criticism has been drawn to the Batmobile sections, and I agree with that 100%. But still, for $5.70, a great pickup, and it should run very well at this point if you've got decent hardware. So that's gonna conclude this video. Some great deals this week. Let me know what you guys are picking up, and as always, all of the links will be in the description box down below. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.